Okay.
Okay, now go over to YouTube and click the stream button in the middle. And you should give it a second to connect to each other, and you should see your face. Bam, now you're live.
Okay.
And now I want you to click edit. Okay, and now click in the description. Okay, now go down to your text messages down there on your actual Mac. Yep, that right there. And then I want you to just copy and paste what I just texted you. Yep, copy and paste that whole message. And scroll down and hit Command C.
Whoa.
Yep, all the way to the bottom. Has all your disclaimer stuff. Copy. Okay, now you get out of there and go back to your live. And copy paste it in the description. Bam. Okay, now scroll down. Use the scroll bar. There you go. Okay, now go a little further and click on playlist and add it to your live stream playlist. Bam. Now hit done. And scroll down again. Go up just a little bit. Okay, we'll add tags later. I'll go in and add tags while you're live.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Okay, hit save. Okay, so now you're already up and running. So as soon as 8:30 starts, you'll just change it to live. And what you want to do right now is go into your Discord.
I can't. It's set to.
Oh, the other one? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Do it on your phone then.
Okay.
And just announce to everybody that you're going live at 8:30.
Well, 8:20.
Yeah, dude, that works. You're good, and then just send it, and then I'll put the link in there in just a second.
Okay.
I'll do that on my computer since you're not logged in. Okay, now on your YouTube studio right here,
Yes.
up at the top right, look, there's an arrow right next to end stream. Click that, and then click the squares. Bam. Okay, now exit that, and now just go to your text and text me that link. Hit paste, and I'll add that to the description of what you just said.
How do I text on this thing?
Command V is paste. So you just send him texting me that link.
What's your telephone number? Because it won't pull up that.
It's right there. Just go down, click messages. I'll go right. You're already on it.
Oh.
Just
What am I doing?
Paste.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna add it. What did you post that on, Uncle Ray?
The top 7 link.
Okay. You know that's in 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's do this thing. I don't know why I'm so nervous.
Okay. Now you need to go back and click edit. And
Okay.
then just change the permissions from private to public. And then you're live. Now you're live.
Austin, how do I do that? All right, hello everybody. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I have some principles that I look at for day trading, and I'm going to be sharing those. And every Monday and Thursday, I like to day trade. Well, I like to day trade every day, at least with a little bit. Now, I highly recommend that if you are new to day trading, using a small amount of your portfolio to do so. So until you get and have success, to either go into a simulator or to trade with a small amount, like for example 2%, 3%, 4%, until you feel a lot more comfortable. Now, I like to day trade the SPY specifically, and so that's what I have pulled up here. And I have 5 principles that I look at for day trading the SPY to try to find direction, and I have found it to be mostly successful. My success rate is right around 75% in picking direction. And you might say, well, that's just a little bit better than flipping a coin. Well, you know, it's not a perfect system, but I find that it does work. And so for the SPY, what we're looking at here, as you can see, I have pulled up the daily on the SPY. And so I like to trade at market open, and I like to trade with options to give myself some extra leverage. And so I will personally, right now, I'm using about 2% of my portfolio, and I'll trade the SPY and then with options, and then try to find an exit point depending upon how many of those 5 indicators are either green or red. Okay, so let's start to go through those. And I also trade based upon, and this is something rather new for me, but I'm paying more close attention to the Elliott wave theory. And so that's something I've been kind of looking at and studying and doing more with. So number 1 is pre-market sentiment or news. Now, this morning I would call pre-market sentiment positive. I would say that it's positive, and the reason is because of the stimulus package that was passed by the Senate. Okay, the next is the Elliott wave theory and where we're at in that. And so I have that pulled up here on the daily. And whenever you have a pullback, there's an A, B, and a C. And I believe that we have formed that A, B, and C of the pullback here from February 16th. And so we are seeing that. So that is an indicator right now. I believe that we're getting out of that. And you can see that here on this candle here and how it has passed the low of A. And so I think that as long as this continues up with price action at the start of the day, that we are in a green turnaround, that we should see a nice bounce off of that. Now, steps 3 and 4, though, are saying bearish. Both of those are saying bearish right now, and that has to do with yields. I pay close attention to interest rates and yields, and both of those are negative and bearish. So right now, in my opinion, we have 2 green and 2 red. And then the last one, number 5, is going to be number 5 is price and volume. So right at open, we should get some indications of price and volume and how that is going. And I will help you with that. And that is the last thing that should turn the tides, because right now we're mixed. Now, if we're 3 out of 5, I'm looking to make like 6% on my options. So what I'll do is I'll enter, and then I will set a limit at a 6% above or below. And at above, if I'm doing a call, it's call up. So if I'm expecting the market to be bullish, I'm going to do a call, and I'm looking for a 6% return, and I'm happy with that. Now, if I have 4 out of 5, then I'm trying to hit a target. And I have a lot of different levels that are all set up, and I'm going to set up some alerts for those levels. And I'm going to kind of click the wrong thing, excuse me. Give me a second here, because my alerts aren't. Okay, so I'm going to have to save it, because I don't know what's going on here. Aha, that's what I wanted. Okay, I need to get rid of these here, but I set up different levels that I look at. They are based on R1, resistance 1, resistance 2, resistance 3, and so let's start to put those in. So price above resistance 1, R1 is 387.58. Okay, and then R2, 391.56. Now I use a calculator, just an online pivot points calculator, and I like I'm going to set up R3 here at 398.82. Well, that's wrong. 398.82 is R3. Okay. So now a bearish level. So below support 1 on the SPY is 376.34. And I should have had these set up ahead of time. Sorry about that. And below is 369.08. Boy, we're about to open here, so I better get this going. It's below 369.08. All right, so I have all those indicators kind of set up and ready to go. So let's go to the 1 minute. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like it's bullish. We're 2 and 2 on our pre-market indicators, so we are just waiting on that price action to start the day to see what's going on. Now I have some other setup goals. Bullish was 387 that I set up pretty early pre-market, and bearish was 379. Those are some important levels that we kind of need to watch going into this trade. All right, so let's see what happens here. So yeah, this is something new. I cover day trades every day and I have a watch list that's in our standard room of our Patreon group that we have, of our Discord that we have attached to this. And you might just check that out if you are looking for a lot of great insider trades and also some other great investors that are part of that. It's a good thing to be a part of, and it's a great community of a lot of investors trying to help one another. Boy, we are close to open. Last minute. Here we go. I am so excited. Let's see what happens here. Boy, this is looking bullish. This isn't looking bearish at all. And I have 2 indicators that are bearish at the moment. Although they are getting more bullish and less bearish as we are talking. In fact, one of them just turned green. So this should be a really interesting opening. Here we go. And I got it pulled up on my phone just to trade on my phone here once we get started. See what is going to happen. All right, I definitely like to wait 2 or 3 minutes before we get going. Before I trade, I like to see that settle, especially before I buy an option. All right. Sorry for the silence. All those international traders are coming in right at the market open. Yeah, I like to wait about 5 minutes to kind of see what happens. And I have some other indicators down here. I have the RSI pulled up here, and also another indicator that I don't have up at the moment that I usually like to use. Well, there it goes bearish. Okay. Sorry, I had some of my bell notifications going off. Boy, the market does not know which direction to go. Some other stocks that are on my watch list, if you're looking for other things and ideas to trade, NEO has been on my watch list a lot. I just think it's way too cheap. Way too cheap. PLTR is also on my watch list, and that's because they have a new contract with Amazon, so that's something to kind of watch. Bitcoin, of course, anything attached with Bitcoin, and I don't necessarily like to trade Bitcoin as much. SOS is one I'm kind of watching. All right. Yeah, definitely the demand of copper is definitely accelerating. I think anything copper is a great stock to trade at the moment. I agree with that analysis very much. Why Yeo, I guess is what the name is on there. And yes, over the big blue moon. I know Neo is killing me too, or at least did last week. It was really tough. Well, all the indicators are bearish this morning, seeing that, but we haven't had our full shakeout here yet. I'm sure there's lots of nervous investors over the weekend looking forward to dumping the SPY, dumping shares, and moving more to cash. But you know, the thing is with that Elliott wave, people tend to do the most selling in that C wave, and it's so funny is that if you don't understand kind of where, and of course it's a theory, so anything can happen in the stock market, but so many people sell at that bottom. That is the time to buy. So that's why it's so important to kind of understand those waves, and I am really studying on that and kind of working on that. Oh, well, we got a nice green candle here moving upwards. Loving this. Me personally, I like to be bullish. I love it when the stock market goes up. I really don't like to buy put options, but I will. And I will make money on put options. I mean, because with my insiders, I kind of set them and forget it, you know, like the Ronco commercial. But as far as definitely with a day trade, I'm direction independent, and I recommend that you be that way also. Okay. I'm still waiting for that fifth indicator to kind of go nutso here. Give me a direction here. Okay. Okay, it's looking like we're going bearish, guys. It is what it is. So put options are the way I'm going. Let's see. I like to go out on these. I'll pick March 17th here. As far as a put option goes, I'm looking at my different levels here. 376 is support. Okay, so I just got into a put option. Things are mixed enough here that I'll have to kind of decide which direction I want to go, but I bought the 381 put, 317 expiration date. I like that to be a little ways out, and so that's the reason why I chose that. Normally I would go with the 19th, but I went with the 17th just to get a little bit of extra profits here. And so far this trade is working out. So if you are looking to trade stock rather than options, and since this is bearish, SPXS is the direction I think that would be the stock to get. That's a 3 times leveraged bearish SPY. And so by buying that, you're actually buying, it's like buying a put, but it's actually stock. And with these mixed returns, I'm going to try for a 10% move here, kind of see how this goes. Let's see, my price was 502 is my cost, and so I'm going to try to sell it at 552 and just kind of hold for that level. 552. Okay, and I just set it. And I'm just kind of watching the price action kind of going, looking for a 10% gain here. All right, getting a little green action here. So bearish 379 is a really important level. And another important level is going to be 376.34. So of course, I'm not a financial advisor. You need to use your own due diligence and also use caution, especially when starting something new like this. It's really important that that with any new strategy that you go into, that you do so carefully. Start in a simulator, all those kind of things. Let's see what happens here. All right, so this is flashing up. This is actually a good opportunity to buy anything that's bearish. This would be a great entry point right here. All right. And it's going the wrong direction, which is never fun, but you just got to be patient and wait it out here. So the 10-year treasury is up. So the interest rate is actually, or the yield is higher on that on the 10-year treasury. It's at 1.582, which is higher than it closed on Friday. And then the 30-year has gone to 2.284%. And so that is just a tad lower. But the 10-year is what most investors watch. And so right now you really have news of stimulus fighting. You have news of stimulus fighting direction. So just the market direction. So let's see here. Looking at the volume analysis, boy, the volume is just crazy over here. As you can see over here to the right, just kind of watching the tape. The stock's going the wrong direction for us. It's only been 4 bars now. Let's see how this completes here. And I'll just hold this order open at a 10% gain, just waiting for it to execute. Because I've just found in the past that I've had a lot of confidence in following this, and it's done very well. But this is going the wrong direction. Interesting. Well, this is very good for my other stocks, so that's good. Okay, so an important level here, bullish-wise, is 387.58. That's the first level here. Let's see here. That is resistance 1. So Okay, well, this trade is kind of not doing well, but I will keep it open here and just watch for that price targets that we have on here. Support 1 of 376.34. That is a support level that it could hit. Another level is 379. I think at this point, if it ever got down to 379, I would sell, or a 10% gain. So I'm just kind of holding that open and anyway, we should see how that does, and that concludes this episode. I wish you all the best. I'm so sorry that this is going the wrong direction, but it will. And it could be a market reversal going upwards. We shall see. Or it just could be some hype, definitely with everything. Let's see what happens here. 385. Varner, you're asking about the analyst targets, and the analyst targets aren't targets. They are set up as pivot points, so I use a pivot point calculator for that. There are lots of great pivot point calculators to use out there. The one specifically that I use the most is going to be I use easycalculation.com is something that I use for those pivot points. And so that's how I come up with those different price targets and pivot points mostly. I base it a lot on pre-market level too. I look a lot at pre-market level, like pre-market highs, pre-market lows. That's an important indicator definitely also. Okay. Well, this trade is not going in the right direction, but it had 3 of the 5 indicators. And number 1 indicator is always the news, and so I give it a little bit more weight than everything else. All right. Okay. Varner, I like these live casts also. I think they're going to be really cool. Let's see how this goes. That's what's so tough about picking a direction. I'm, of course, hoping the market goes green. That's what I always hope, because I definitely have a lot more money set in bullish positions than bearish. But right now in my trade on my put, I am down 20%, so that is not fun. I'll give it a little bit more time to go because there are those things there that are going. So okay, well, I'm going to edit my my trade for a 5% gain with, and I'm just going to set it as open, and I'm going to leave it open for the day because the indicators are there that we will have a bearish day, but the news is definitely kind of trumping all of that. There's a lot of bullish sentiment and people kind of going back in. Also with the Elliott wave theory had us as green also on that, or at least I interpreted it that way. And so those two things were green, and it was very, very mixed, but the yields are up. And so that's usually bad. Interest rates and yields going up are very bad typically for the market. We shall see how this reacts to the different levels. And I'm looking for a target of around 379 as a bearish target. But we shall see how it goes. Now, typically at, and this is Central Time, typically at 10 o'clock, there are a lot of people who kind of come in and try to stop out the market. So that could be when we hit that goal. So this is great, it being a put option. It's great just to kind of keep open and wait for those levels to kind of kick in. So it just seems like maybe just a little early on the trade. Could have got a better price. We would have waited, but there's no way, of course, to know exactly what the market's going to do. We're getting a nice red candle here that'll help our trade. If you are bearish in following this trade, so SPXS is the stock to trade, and that's a 3 times leverage bearish fund. All right, and on that, I'm going to stop my live cast, and I really appreciate all those that joined. But I'm going to just wait this out, and I think that right around, depending upon what time zone you're in, I think at 10:30 that this order should execute. Should be a really good trade, but we shall see. Or it could be a bad trade and not work out. So I'm, of course, hoping the market is green. But anyway, thank you all for being a part, and I will see you later. Actually, before I go, Tanner just asked a question about a specific PDUFA stock that I like the most. There is a PDUFA video that I'm going to be coming out with later on in the week. I am starting to track those trades again, and so to answer that question, I will have 3 PDUFA run-up stocks that I think will do extremely well and good with the day. All right, this thing's starting to go bearish, so maybe I won't sign off. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. It's starting to follow the indicators a little bit more. Throughout the weekend, everyone gets so excited to get in that Monday, a lot of times that you'll get that, even though it's not bullish, to do that. And then also, if you as you are on this, if you could do me a huge favor and please hit that most amazing, wonderful like button. This helps suggest it to other people, and I think it's really good. So let's see where this thing is going. Ollie, I hadn't answered your question yet. I do think that the market will see a reversal coming here soon. So that is something I think that is going to happen. I think that we're going to go back into a bullish market. I really believe the bond yields is a gigantic overreaction to market direction. And the Elliott wave says that we're kind of close, and but we could see lower lows before we're out of this. So this is something that can happen. The indicators this morning are bearish for sure, but just barely. So it'll be interesting. The market's fighting for direction right now. I've been accused of being a permabull, but I think right now it's tough to know exactly which direction things are heading. But soon it should give us a real clear direction. All right, this trade is starting to work. We just got a really nice big burst there that happened once we hit that $382 level. So where do I market pre-market? I like Thinkorswim. I opened up a Thinkorswim account. I typically trade with Schwab, and I also trade with Webull. Those are my 2 accounts, and I just follow the pre-market levels. But I also like to I use Thinkorswim for pre-market levels. That's how I find out. Okay, where are we at? What was the high of pre-market? What was the low of pre-market? Those are things that I pay attention to when determining levels. The other thing I look at is volume. The relative volume is extremely important. So relative volume shows how much excitement is in it. I'm also use my SMB scanner. That is not available to just anyone. That is not available to just anyone. I was a student of SMB Capital, and so that's something that that I use each and every day. But as far as Thinkorswim, you can get all that information by having the top levels and the bottom levels within it, and also relative volume. You can get that information just by comparing the volume of the stock in pre-market. Now, pre-market, I like to see at least 10% relative volume before I start paying attention to it, and I like to see a gap up of 3% or more, or a gap down of 3% or more, kind of showing that the stock is moving on that volume. So this trade is really starting to work out, and this is really starting to move downwards, unfortunately, for the rest of my portfolio, but fortunate for this trade. So we're starting to, it should start to turn green for us here. If you bought options on this, a small amount, I used 2% of my portfolio to do so. So this is kind of going down. So that's what's going on. Okay. So let's see. We got it's really starting to move here. I'd like to encourage you guys to hit that amazing, wonderful like button for me. I really appreciate it. Getting likes, it helps recommend this broadcast to others. So, okay. If anyone's got any questions out there, I mean, just kind of waiting and seeing what this stock does. Okay. Interesting. All right, well, let me check up on rates over here. Rates are moving higher. Yields are moving higher on the bond, on the 10-year and the 30-year. LiveX. King Josh, you're asking about LiveX. I have seen some insider activity on that, and so that is one that's been kind of on my radar, even though it's been really, really small as it's entered. Let's see here. Varner, director buys versus officers. Well, I will tell you, director buys are typically very, very good. I've found them to be very stable. I love director buy stocks for insider activity. It's something I give weight to. The officer I give the most weight to is going to be the CFO. And CEOs are equal to directors, believe it or not, in my opinion, in how that they move. I especially love it if multiple directors go in open market. So that's a very good question. All right. So going further down on the SPY, unfortunate for the rest of our stocks, but good for this trade. Now, I do think that this is temporary, but I do think that the indicators show that the market was going to be, that we're going to see a dip here. And I think that that dip will pick up once we get to the 10 a.m. Central hour. So after the market's been open a little while longer. I was looking earlier, the NASDAQ was really doing poorly. But that's just something I just don't understand. I love tech companies, but everyone's just really kind of scared on it. So Well, there's a lot of people that entered this SPY trade later than me. There's a couple people that entered it later than I did, and they are making money on that, so that is wonderful. Love to hear that. So I'm still down 1%. I have an open order for a 10% gain here, so let's see if this thing will execute. This thing's starting to move lower. Now I have a profit. I think it'll get down to the 379 levels, actually, where I think it'll get to. But I'm not willing to bet the farm on it, definitely. So if I get a 10% gain when we have mixed levels, as far as mixed indicators. Now, if all 5 were red, I would definitely be buying a put option and just kind of holding out. But since not, and since it's mixed, I'm not looking to do that. Okay, so it looks like we got a gigantic red candle here. And then another nice sized red candle, and nice size for our trade. And now it's starting to move lower. So here we go. Other stocks that are doing well this morning, Primo Water up a little, just a little tiny bit. Sats is doing well, so that is good. Let's see, Agree Realty's up. Camping World up 3.41%. That one had insider activity. It was really, really nice. Okay, so we've had 3 candles in a row here on SPY. Let's see how this goes. So to those of you who watched the weekend video that I came out with talking about the different insiders that are there, that they are outperforming the market right now, doing pretty well. Okay, so we just passed above the SMA line on the SPY. Okay. All right. Once we get, for put options, definitely the best time is 10 a.m. Central. So that'd be 11 Eastern, if I'm doing my math right. Yes, ABD, Abdallah. We do have a delay here, and it's about 11 seconds, and unfortunately, that's just something we're gonna have to deal with. It takes time for it to kind of go through my screen to YouTube and then to all of you. So that is something that it's looking that way. Boy, this thing's starting to go down now. SPY is starting to move downwards. 383. Well. So SPXS. SPXS is the is that stock, and that is starting to move up towards more positive. Boy, this thing is really fighting for direction. All right, King Josh, you asked the question, when do I believe that the correction will be over? Well, I thought it would be with stimulus news, but it is, I think it's going to be when, I really thought it'd be with stimulus news. But I think that the market will, that the indicators show the market's going to start off red, but that with it going back to the House for approval, I think President the president will sign it. So I think that's going to be a big indicator. I think that's going to be a big thing. The other thing to watch is going to be the yields. I think they just determine so much of the market. There's so many investors when those yields get higher that they start to move out of their riskier investments. And right now, if you're a bond holder, you're worried about inflation and not making any money for the interest, for the yield to be less than the amount of inflation. And so there are lots of concerns with the market. There's a reason for this correction. Stocks were overvalued in the middle of February. I wish I would have sold more stocks in the middle of February because, man, we were up in so many different ones. I did take profits on a lot, but and yes, this has been a tough downturn, tough correction. But the stock market can't go up forever. I mean, it's just impossible, but I think that's where we're going. Varner, you asked if I hold Bitcoin. You know, I like the Bitcoin mining companies, so there's a lot of those that I like to have. And looks like my SPY trade just went positive. That is wonderful. Hopefully that went positive for you also. But yes, I don't hold a lot of Bitcoin, but I've had a lot of Bitcoin stocks that have done really, really well. HUTMF. My concern with Bitcoin has been that at any time there could be regulation on it or against it. And I know you can trade it 24 hours a day, but I just, if there's insider activity on a stock that has Bitcoin mining or anything of that nature, then I love to pick up those type of stocks. But I kind of depend on there being insider activity, and the insiders really don't buy those type of companies. And so at least we've had next to zero volume on any of them. I think Amara and Riot, I just haven't seen any insider activity significant that's been on any of those. And so I'm kind of just waiting for that. I have a little bit of gold, not a lot, but I have some gold. I like to hold silver every once in a while when I think the price is about to spike, but Bitcoin is not one I've done a lot of. All right. Well, I love your questions. Also, if you can hit that like button, keep this going. I plan on... Let's keep the live. I'll keep the live stream open. This is my first one, so I'm sorry it's so scattered, a little scattered, but I'm going to keep this open, and let's go until 9:15. Then I'll go ahead and break. So the trade has definitely been set up. So now we're just waiting for those levels, and I don't think that it's going to hit any of our price targets until the market's been open over an hour and a half, or right at an hour and a half. I do see it moving down lower here. Let's take it does appear that we are getting new highs here. And also, if any of you are watching this and you're not subscribed, I'll do another one of these. So it looks like the trend line is going down here. As you can see here, it's tough. It really hasn't formed, but we are seeing new lower lows here, even though this is really quick. But if you haven't done so before, please subscribe. Okay, so Tanner, you asked a question about NVIDIA for the crypto GPU chips. Let's see. I mean, I haven't done a lot of studying on NVIDIA. I did have it as an earnings play that did not work out because of the market correction that happened. But anyway, so that's that. I just haven't done any research on it. So yes, I am in Missouri. So people ask that. So being in Missouri, you got to be a Tigers fan, right? So anyway, I like the Mizzou Tigers, and so that's why you see me wear that a lot. So King Josh, you're asking me to do more live. Well, that's the plan, actually. I plan on doing live broadcasts on Mondays and Thursdays is my plan on that. And so those will be live to everybody. I am going to do some other live broadcasts, but they're going to be private. I'm switching up my content a little bit. The top 7. I'm doing more than just the top 7. I'm doing 2 review videos a week. So yes, that is the plan. I plan on doing that. So hopefully you like this, and hopefully this is a successful trade for everybody. Although you can see here the trend line that I drew there, that's an important trend line. So I think as long as it doesn't break that with any force, that we'll be looking at lower amounts. Although the other thing is the rest of my portfolio is bullish, and so this being a bad trade would probably be good for my overall portfolio as it works here. Okay, Tanner, you're asking what put option did I get? I went with the 3/17 expiration date, and I did the SPY. $381 put was the amount that I did there. Looks like my trend line was premature there, but that's the one that I went in. Let's see, what is my average in it? My average is a whopping, let's see, 503 is my average. So, okay, trend line. Well, we got some bars above the trend line. It probably was a little early on that, so I'm going to get rid of that because I know that the market will dip, or at least usually it dips right at that after the market's been open an hour and a half. So that is something I'm kind of looking at right there. Okay, so I have a question here asking about how I chose a position sizing for this. Well, it depends on my confidence level in the trade. So I have 5 indicators that I look at for those of you that missed it. So the first indicator that I'm looking at to trade the SPY or to that I'm looking at, and these can be applied to a lot of different stocks, but I found them to be successful with the SPY specifically. The first is pre-market sentiment or news. So that is really, really important. And right now the news is positive. The sentiment is positive on the market. At least I feel it would be after the stimulus news that kind of happened on that. The second is the Elliott wave theory. And so I covered that early on in the broadcast here. And on the daily, you look for a correction to be in 3 waves. And so we have wave A here, wave B here, and wave C here. And this may have been the bottom. Now we are in a bearish market. So it broke against the bottom of the A wave. And so that made me think that it is going to move upwards today. And so that was indicator 2. All right, let's go back to the 1-minute interval. Okay, and so then the third is the 10-year yield, which is not positive. That is a negative thing this morning. And that's not surprising because I'm sure a lot of investors are feeling that the government is going to pay for those yields. And so that's the reason is going to pay for those by selling bonds, which are going to make yields go up because they're having a hard time selling those yields. At least that is the direction that I feel like a lot of investors would do. The 30-year yield is the other, because yields are really important for determining market direction for a day. If they are up, that is bearish. If they are down, then that is bullish. And so from day to day it matters, and the larger that they're up or down affects the market in a larger way. So I chose 2% of my portfolio, my catalyst portfolio on this put, and the reason is because I didn't have as much because we have positives and negatives. Now the fifth indicator, price volume, that is just by looking at the volume. So you can see the volume in bars at open, and you can see here what happened. That is very, very bearish. And so that is the reason why I felt a put was in order. And so then from there, you're like, how long do I hold it? Well, if it's mixed like this, I usually look for a 10% gain on my trade. So I have set up a limit sell on this thing for a 10% gain, and I'm happy with that because all the indicators were mixed this morning. We had 3 out of 5 that were bearish, and so that's the reason why looking at it that way. And let's see here. Okay, Chris, take a look at CLPT. Okay, I could definitely do that. I have no idea what it is. Alzheimer's and so on. There's definitely a lot of, if they had something successful being Alzheimer's and the success that Sava had, yeah, I would think that that would be something that would really, really, really move upwards. All right. Well, this trade is just kind of like okay. So 3 out of 5 indicators is the toughest one to trade. So what you should be looking for, and I'm going to be signing off here. I'm going to be signing off here soon. But so you should be looking at levels. I think that the $379 level is very, very important. That's what you should look for as far as a time to exit your trade. I'm actually glad the market is up. I mean, even though the indicators showed negative, and you know, any strategy is not going to be 100% good, but I think that we're going to see a major dip right at 10 a.m. Central, and so I'm just going to hold this position open, looking for a 10% return. I will close it out if I have to at a loss. I would say if I ever got to a 30% loss, I would definitely be out of that. And the reason why I set up my size at 2%, especially with an option, is because if I lost 100% but of an option, let's say I had an option go worthless, then 2% doesn't kill my portfolio. And I'm always just super careful with that. And as time goes on, that's going to be more and more important as your size gets larger in your portfolio. You got to protect it. All right, Abdallah Sufan. I was observing the last 2 weeks open on the SPY. When it's open with some candles up, it usually dips, and it goes the other way when it opens down. I mean, yeah, that has been the case with all this volatility. That has been the case with all this volatility, and it definitely did flash up. Yeah, I may have picked a wrong direction here, but I believe in my indicators and the different things that I have. So I think that my order will be positive. And if you can make a 10% return, day trading something like the SPY and following these rules and regulations, sometimes you're going to lose. You're not going to win 100% of the time. But if all 5 were red or all 5 were green, then I would go for my target price and not set up a limit sell. But this being the case, that's where I'm going. I have noticed that in instances, like for example, all the indicators on Friday morning were it was 4 out of 5 bearish, and so then the market flashed kind of upwards and really helped me to make good money on a trade, and went in on it, and it was really good. So yes, I understand that. So let's see here. Any insider activity, usually it takes 2 to 3 days for for that to be reported. So for insider activity to be reported, they have some time, of course, to turn in their paperwork to the SEC once they've made a transaction. All right, how many days, weeks prior to PDUFA do you enter? Well, on PDUFA plays, I like to be in a month ahead of time and ride it up. And I look for a dip in the market as far as a time to enter. So I'm paying attention to RSI on the total market. Usually the NASDAQ is most important in looking at the RSI of the NASDAQ. So right now is a perfect time to enter, in my opinion. A lot of these biotech plays that are moving up, especially with PDUFA. Now, I like the PDUFA date versus phase data's, because there's a solid date that the FDA is looking at that. And so it makes it easy for investors to have a run up and buy prior to that date. And so that is why I like that type of thing. So it's a little bit better than the phase data, because so many phase data, it says Q1 sometime or Q2 sometime. Well, those are typically horrible for buying and expecting a run up on the stock. But I like to enter in. To answer that question, about a month ahead of time is what I usually look for, but I'm really looking for a dip in the market as a good entry point on that. Oh, Tanner, you're asking a question about a stock, why I'm waiting on it. There is a stock I'm looking into going into. It looks like that's going to be brought out in the open. BLUE is one I'm looking for an upswing, and I just wasn't able to get an entry point this morning. It had nothing to do with like a reason. No reason. I plan on getting it, but at the moment I'm busy, so paying attention to that. So, but anyway, so that's what's going on with that. That's why I'm waiting on blue. I just haven't found an entry point yet. I have an open order on it, just hasn't executed. I'll take a look at it here. I'll take a look at it here soon. Okay. Why was Wayfair not on my top 7 list for today? Yeah, Wayfair was a really good insider transaction. It had to do with, I don't like to have more than 10 positions in insiders. I mean, it definitely could go larger than that, but I have a certain portion of my portfolio that I set aside for that. And I try not to overwhelm all of my different members. And so I skipped on Wayfair because there wasn't multiple officers, so it wasn't really, really bullish. And Wayfair will probably do well. It was surprising to see an insider buy at those levels, definitely very, very high. And so I do think that Wayfair should show some price strength and maybe make a 2 to 10% move. But that's the reason why I didn't go in it, was because there was more than 5. I had more than 5 at the time, so. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. I went long enough. Hopefully this trade works out. If it doesn't, well, then the rest of our stocks are doing great, so that's okay. Definitely okay with me. But I think that we should see a dip here soon. It looks like a lot of our insiders, man, they are really flying. Camping World up 6%. IHRT up 2.3%. Satsuma Pharma is up. VTVT with that thing, I don't understand why it's going down. That was very bullish activity. Sats up, Primo Water up. So man, there's some good ones. Definitely doing very, very well. So, and reacting to the SPY, doing so well. But anyway, I'm going to sign off. I will. To those of you that are standard or premium members, I will see you tomorrow. And then otherwise, I'm coming back on Thursday to do the same and to do this again. So wishing you all the best in the stock market, and Raythoven out.